Si here from MusicRadar. I'm joined today by Joe Rossitter, the editor of Computer Music Magazine. We are currently in the presence of synth royalty, the Yamaha CS-80. Needs no introduction really, it's one of the most famous synths of all time, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah. It's at the time of filming this, the new Blade Runner film has just come out.
2049, that's just out, so it's very much popular.
It is, yeah. It's being widely discussed. We've got this here, so we thought we'd sort of get it along and have a chat about it. Go through its architecture. How it's all put together, the kind of signal flow.
How it all works.
It's got sort of quite a lot of little idiosyncrasies that might need explaining a bit. So yeah, we can do that.
Let's go straight on in. So, talk us briefly the specs of the CS-80.
Well, it's an 8-voice polysynth, so you've got 8 voices of polyphony, 2 oscillators per voice.
Okay.
So each oscillator has this strip here, so you've got 2 identical strips, each controlling an oscillator. And then we've got this global section here, which controls global parameters.
Okay.
So I'll just run through this architecture. We've got this lovely diagram here.
Looking handy,
on top of the synth, which helps explain what's going on.
Yeah.
So to start off with, we've got our VCO, the oscillator. Now this can either be a square wave or a saw wave. Or you can have both active.
Fatten up a bit.
So pulse width modulation. We can change the pulse width of the square wave with this slider here. And then there's a dedicated LFO for pulse width modulation, a sine LFO. So here's the speed and this is the depth.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Other waveforms include, jumping over a little bit, the sine wave here, which is after the filter section.
Yep, there's a sine wave, so as you can hear I've turned off these two. Can you turn that up?
Put that up there. So signal flow goes, you're just going to be affecting that with the envelope there.
Yeah, the sine wave comes after the VCF. So we just turn that down for a sec. Yeah, so we've got square saw, we've got the sine over here after the VCF, then there's a noise oscillator. Lovely sounding noise, which sounds great, nice and analog.
Cool.
Onto the VCF, so each oscillator has a resonant high pass filter and a resonant low pass filter. So dual filters, the synth's really well known for its those sort of band pass.
So you can just
filtered tones.
Dial that in.
Which is
with
so
both of those.
you combine the high pass and the low pass to get those kind of sounds. Cool. Then onto the filter envelope here. So we've got attack, decay, and release. But then you've got this initial level and attack level, and it's sort of a combination of these that's sort of your envelope depth.
Oh, okay.
So if I just dial that in. So that's our filter
So a lot of
envelope.
sculpting going on from the envelope generator there.
Yeah, the initial level and attack level's kind of confusing really. It's not the traditional way to do it, but it works.
But it works, and they work, in conjunction with it, work quite well. So going on then to the VCA, bog standard. That's just your filter level.
Yeah, VCA. So we come out of the VCF section. We've got the VCF level here. Then we've got that sine wave oscillator here that we can mix in. Then we've just got ADSR for amplitude envelope. And then the final level amount. So you can get those really slow long drifting pads or short plucky sounds as usual.
And then at the end, we've got our velocity sensitivity and aftertouch.
Yeah, we've got, so this initial is essentially velocity. So brilliance, that means filter. Level, that means amplitude. So we can affect filter or amplitude with velocity. So if I just dial in, just bear with me. So I'm varying how hard I'm pressing the key, and it's staying the same.
Get a bit more sort of,
As you'd expect. So
with it.
however hard you press will alter the filter or the amplitude.
So obviously the CS-80, well known for its aftertouch capabilities. It's such an expressive instrument this is.
It is, yeah. So it actually has polyphonic aftertouch.
Wow.
So most synths aftertouch is just applied globally when you affect any parameters, but each voice is affected individually.
Again, we've got the green one, so it's kind of works for everything. Green is filter.
Yeah, green is filter, cut-off, red is resonance, then you've got grey is sort of levels, and black I think is envelope controls.
Right, cool. So we can just basically adjust the amount of aftertouch we could get in.
Let's make it a
bit longer.
So you're varying how hard you're pressing.
Yeah, just sort of rolling up in and out of it. It's just lovely.
Very expressive.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Brilliant. So that's your single oscillator.
That's one oscillator. So that was oscillator one.
Yeah.
Something that's important to mention actually is this mix slider here. So we were listening to oscillator one because this was all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Flick that down and you're listening to oscillator two. So these are identical. You've got two oscillators. You can mix them together however you like.
Yeah. And this is, like we're saying, this is our global control section. So if we're looking at, obviously we've got the master volume here, the keyboard control bit. That's our key tracking kind of levels, and
that's kind of key tracking. So again, green filter, that's called brilliance. So and then you've got the level as well. So if we let's turn these down for now. Yeah. So if we just to show you an example, we put that on maximum and that on minimum.
That's quiet.
High notes are really quiet.
Yeah.
You can hardly hear them actually. Low notes are really loud. Flick them round. Invert them.
Loud. Quiet.
Quiet.
It was a bit confusing because it's obviously the opposite way around. The fader's up on the oscillators there, so it's kind of makes you noodle a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, you'd expect you'd turn that up to make this side louder, but it's not. It's the other way around.
So obviously, conversely, we can zero those. We've got the brilliance functions as well, so we can have a dull low end, a bright high end. So it's dull low end. Yeah. Flip them. Same again. Bright. Not so. So there we go.
Yeah, and obviously you can customise and set them up how you want.
Yeah, and just vary out for the 61 keys we got here. So next to that is the touch response section, but it kind of makes sense for us to jump over to the sub-oscillator first.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about that one, doesn't it?
Yeah. So again, this is aftertouch controls.
Yeah.
But as you can see here, these three are related to the sub-oscillator. Now, jumping over to the sub-oscillator. Now, we've already got our sub-sine oscillator over there, so this isn't actually an audible oscillator.
No.
This is the synth's LFO.
Yeah.
So, confusingly named. You've got all these different waveforms you can select from here. So you've got sine, saw down, saw up, pulse, noise, and an external input.
So there around the back, you've got a trimmable volume control on that. So that's
that. And then, so basically, here's the speed. So that's the speed of the LFO. And then there are three things we can affect with it. We've got the VCO, which is pitch, so you can get kind of vibrato effects.
Okay. Nice.
And you can hear you sort of go up into audio rate.
Yeah.
So there's that. Then you've got VCF, so you can affect filter cutoff. Self-explanatory. Again, you can fast with it. And then finally VCA, so that's just amplitude basically. Yeah, and I rewatched the original Blade Runner before I saw the sequel.
Yeah, of course.
I did,
yeah.
and there was a small part in the soundtrack that I heard, and it was just basically
Exactly.
it was just a chord that just did that, and I just thought, I know what that is.
I know what that is now. Yeah.
So it's quite. I actually really like this LFO. It's very simple, but
Very
just with
effective.
some of the waveforms you've got, you can just obviously you can mix.
Mix all three in. Yeah.
You know, those kind of old sci-fi noises.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That kind of stuff.
Okay, so if we go all the way back around to here, so the touch response bit.
Yes.
So we've got the four controls here. First one's initial, so we get that kind of like sort of lean in, as they call it. As it were. So when that's on full, we kind of get that nice sort of. But the other three, they're aftertouch. That control the LFO.
Yeah. So obviously, yeah, you can use the aftertouch while you're playing to actually change the speed of the LFO. So if you turn down, so we've got the
Speed.
Well, we'll do speed first.
Okay.
If I just modulate pitch. Right, so I've dialed that in.
So it gets faster. Yeah. The more you do it, the more range you get. So that's, yeah. So if you don't want so much, you can just have a little bit. Yeah.
And again, we've got VCO modulation. So obviously, while you're playing, you can dial in vibrato per note.
Per note.
So
And with filter as well, you can do that as well. Yeah.
So I turn the speed and the VCF up.
Lovely. So already, this thing's already so expressive, it's unreal. It's got so much like kind of things you can just mess with the sounds. But one of the kind of highlights is over there.
It is.
The ring mod.
Probably my favourite part of the synth. Yeah.
Cool.
Had spent a lot of time with this. Yeah, so it's basically a ring modulator. Start with a simple sound. This mixes it in. Obviously it's slow speeds, it's more of a tremolo.
Okay, yeah.
But obviously as we increase the speed.
Modulation. Classic ring mod sounds.
And then the ring modulator has an attack and decay. Has a little envelope, so you've got attack and decay controls here, and then the depth for that as well. Again, it's the opposite way round to what you think it is. So instead of pushing them up to apply them, you have to pull them down.
Yeah.
So you can make the ring mod kind of fall down. Or go the other way. So yeah, what's quite nice as well is if you just use the sine wave.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Plenty to be playing with.
Yeah, I think this synth was used on the 80s Doctor Who theme, I think.
Okay, not the 80s one.
Yeah, so, and you can kind of tell why it's
got all of that in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so, ditch all of those, and then we'll move down to this panel here on the bottom left-hand side here.
Yep.
So we've got more global controls. There's some foot switch controls, but we don't have one selected, so we'll ignore those for a minute. So we've got a global sustain envelope.
Global sustain. Sorry, let me get rid of that sign. Put the.
Yeah. Again, you can mix in oscillators 1 and 2.
Yep. And then portamento and glissando.
Okay, so it's on portamento. We'll do go all the way to the end. So we start with that note. Nice and smooth for the portamento. If you flick over to glissando, obviously it comes down in central steps. Lovely.
There we go.
And then finally, there we have the effects section.
Effects section, yeah. We've got tremolo and chorus with a speed and a depth control and on and off.
Notice when we engage the section here, actually the volume just drops completely, doesn't it?
It
so
does.
I don't know if that's a quirk of this machine or if that's an original feature or not, but that happens.
It happens, yeah. I guess if you're playing lots and lots of notes at once.
Yeah.
But then, it still doesn't really make sense. But
there we go.
Tremolo as well.
We love her for her quirks, don't we?
We do.
So again, get the sounds that you expect from the tremolo and chorus. Brilliant.
There we go.
So, like we were saying, it's a 61 note key bed here.
Yeah.
But there's also this velvety strip, which is the touch strip.
Oh, the lovely touch strip. Yep.
I can't touch this thing. It's horrible. It's that. I know some people they'll be fine. You're fine with it, but it's that sort of velvety velour thing. Which
it's strange, isn't it? I wasn't expecting it to be quite so luxurious.
in the most 70s way possible.
Yeah. So basically, so instead of a pitch wheel, basically where you jump in, wherever you press, that's sort of zeroing it. So that's where you start from, and
so
then
you go down or up.
You can sweep down or sweep up.
Okay.
But I think it's an octave up. So
okay, and then down.
I mean that was just an octave because
so if we go down. Range, and obviously it disappears off the end. But get the whole thing.
So it goes an octave up and quite a long way down.
Yeah, all of the octaves down.
Yeah, but it's again performance synth. It's that's what it's known to be, and it just makes it so easy when you're playing.
Lots of expression.
Very easily.
Yeah.
Having a bit of fun earlier when you were playing some chords and I was just sweeping this
Sweeping
thing.
around.
You can just very quickly sweep in pitch changes.
You combine that with the aftertouch, you get a lot of just much more expression than you'd expect from just your standard keyboard. Okay, so going back to some of the global controls we've just missed out on. Right away over on the left there, we've got our coarse and fine pitch. So the bigger control is the coarse and the dilated one's fine. Is that right?
Yep. That's and it's kind of fiddly to use.
But it's necessary because this thing does drift out of tune quite a lot.
It does, yeah. I tuned it before we started.
Yeah.
But
it's probably out now.
It does drift out.
It's
quite
fine.
a lot.
Yeah. We've got then moving along to the right. We've got the detune oscillator 2. So you can.
So if you
mix it in,
mix them. Hold on, we need to
give it something. Does what it says on the tin.
Yep, detuning.
Next to the mix functions, we've got brilliance and resonance. Again, that's your cut-off frequencies, and there's your resonance.
Yeah, I believe these are sort of global offset for the oscillator's filter settings.
Right.
So it's kind of a sort of a global filter, and we'll get onto the presets later. But you can filter with the presets with it.
Yeah, and using it for
so it's quite a nice way to sort of shift the tone quite broadly. So
Yeah, brilliant.
That's useful. And resonance as well.
We've got our octave selection.
Yep.
All the way down, yeah. That does exactly what it's meant to.
Yep.
And then here we have our 22 presets and obviously our 6 user settings. We'll go through the strings. I mean, they are, as you expect from a sort of 70s synthesizer, they don't sound like they're supposed to, but that's part of the charm.
Yeah, my favourite is the guitar.
Yeah, that's not a guitar, but we're fine with that. Obviously, we've got the classic brass from you know what. Lovely. Some of them have aftertouch, some of them don't. Obviously, a harpsichord doesn't have aftertouch, but like I said, the brass did. The green one's funk.
I
Raspy
quite
noises
like
like
the funk when I was sampling this.
Yeah.
Quite a nice bass. Get some
Straight in, it's just absolutely satisfying straight away, isn't it?
squelchy and satisfying.
Yeah. And then we've got our 4 memory switches there, which
We do. Well,
correspond to...
well, these, just to explain, these 2 panel switches here,
Yeah.
that enables us
that's-
to use the main
course.
2
course.
oscillators controls here that we've been
Yeah.
using. But then we have 4 memory slots. So if we pop the hood here,
Get that trapdoor open.
there we go. Under here, you can see that we have 4 memory slots. This
Which is
down
it's
here.
essentially, it's exactly the same controls we've got for each oscillator
But on a micro scale.
on a micro scale. So you've nice little fiddly kind of sliders there.
Yeah.
But you can then dial in. So we've got memory 1 and 2. We've got different tones. We literally just went in there and just decided to just mess up everything, and not the most inspiring sounds that we've dialed in, but you've got the your.
So yeah, you can sort of tweak in here and
use the presets.
Hold on, what are we on? 3 and 4.
We're on 3 and 4.
I mean, this is not the most enjoyable way to program a synth. I'll be honest.
You're constantly referring to this, going, "Is that one?" Also, we noticed that the actual sort of the waveform selectors are opposite to the rocker switches there.
Yeah, so you turn them up to turn them on.
Yeah.
Obviously, that makes sense.
Continuity wasn't a thing they were really going for when they designed this machine, but again, another quirk.
Yeah, but no, this. I mean, it's kind of cool. Sort of, this is just sort of late 70s preset storage.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a live performance, you can quickly flick between them.
You've got 6 sounds you can dial in yourself.
Yeah.
Amongst the 22 preset ones, which are very nice and
Yeah.
well,
The
some
classic sound of the
better than
synth,
others.
basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's really cool. Yeah, like I said, it's very fiddly to program in here. It's tiny little movements will make
Big changes.
There's not
yeah.
a lot of range to these tiny
No.
little sliders. So, but yeah, it's cool.
It does what it's supposed to. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So I kind of think in a nutshell, that's the CS-80. We've kind of cruised around what it can do. It's kind of the sort of the signal flow, the basic architecture of the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think something important to mention is the fact that it is quite simple on paper, and running through it, we've gone through each section, but it is the sum of its parts. It is the way that all these things come together.
Yeah, yes, that's right. I mean, the global controls, they've got some, and the expression as a whole, it's just, you can do so much with it. And it's why it's one of the most coveted synths of all time.
Yeah.
The aftertouch, like you say, the ring mod's, unique. There's no MIDI.
No.
Obviously, when it was first built, sorry.
Player's
There are.
synth.
Yeah,
Which
it's
very
a
much
player's
player's
synth.
synth.
It's a performance instrument.
But it's just something about the size of it, the scale of it. It's completely such a lavish thing to play on. Something you wouldn't get nowadays.
So what we're talking about £20,000, I think, on the second-hand market to get
millions. Might as well be millions.
It's priceless. It's absolutely priceless. It's very heavy, I think £200 or something like that.
It's very heavy
weighs a
indeed.
ton.
Yeah, it takes 2 or 3 of us to lug it around.
And it comes with a lid, so the lid attaches and detaches, obviously, and they've got wheels on, and so you can transport it by putting on its wheels, but it just doesn't feel right to be sort of transporting such an expensive thing around on these little casters. So we've been, Yamaha, if you're listening, we've been treating it very, very carefully and using, the white gloves and the cotton wool where we've needed to. So, yeah, in a nutshell, CS-80, one of the best synths ever made, I think.
Indeed, yeah. It's fun to play. It sounds great. Loads of software emulations out there. Arturia, CS-80V is probably the most famous.
Most famous one. There's a hardware emulation that's been created. We don't know if it's actually on sale yet, but the Deckard's Dream is out there. It's obviously a fraction of the cost compared to this.
How much is it?
I think it's around 3,000 fully built pounds. They do a kit. I think you buy a kit for sort of £300, but you will need to supply all the other parts yourself, and then obviously you've got to build it yourself as well. So, I mean, if you're into that sort of thing, great. If not, don't do it, because you will waste a lot of money.
That's a rack unit, is it?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it's, I'm not sure if it's Euro, but it's yay big. So
yeah,
it's a fraction of the size, fraction of the cost, fraction of the weight, but hopefully not a fraction of the sound capabilities. So if we get hold of one of those, we'll definitely put it through its paces.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely be interested to check that out after spending some time with this.
See how they compare.
Yeah, now something I'd quite like to do is I'm just going to sample it, basically, make samples from this.
So many samples.
Record chords and stabs and that kind of stuff. I think it's. I think we need to do it.
Well, then we need to get jamming on it. Okay. Right. Well, wherever you're seeing this video right now, be sure to like it, subscribe to it, comment on it, and share. And do check out MusicRadar.com for the latest news, reviews, and tutorials. And of course, Computer Music Magazine will be on sale now. Cheers.